Sunday evening doesn't feel like rest anymore. It feels like pressure, quiet, heavy, and familiar. Your body is at home, but your mind has already reached Monday. Meetings replay, tasks resurface. That one uncomfortable conversation you've been avoiding comes back without warning. And you start wondering why this happens every single week. This isn't overthinking, this isn't weakness, this is Sunday anxiety, and it's real. For most people, it starts after sunset. You're scrolling on your phone, trying to distract yourself. Maybe you're sitting with family, maybe you're lying on your bed telling yourself to relax, but your chest feels tight. Sleep feels far away. There's this strange guilt, like you didn't rest properly, even though the weekend is almost over. And by the time the clock hits 10 p.m., Monday already feels exhausting. If this sounds familiar, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why Sunday anxiety happens, and more importantly, you'll learn 5 practical ways to break the cycle without quitting your job, forcing positivity, or pretending everything is fine. This isn't motivation. This is clarity. Here's the truth most people miss. Sunday anxiety isn't really about Monday. It's about the life you're returning to every week. We assume that better time management, more discipline, or better planning will fix this feeling. But Sunday anxiety is rarely a productivity problem. It's a misalignment problem between how you're living and what your mind and body are quietly asking for. And once you see that, the cycle starts to loosen. The first place this anxiety begins is simple, but uncomfortable to admit. Work never fully ends. Even on Sunday, you may not be officially working, but mentally, you're still available. Checking email just once. Reading a message without replying. Noticing notifications and telling yourself you'll deal with them later. Your nervous system never gets the signal that it's safe to rest. In current work culture, this is common. Office WhatsApp groups, late messages, unspoken expectations to be reachable. So your body is on the weekend, but your brain is still on duty. And without a clear signal that work has ended, anxiety quietly builds. This is why a shutdown ritual matters. Not motivation, not willpower, a visible boundary. Logging out of work apps. Creating a clear end to the work week. Your brain doesn't respond to intention. It responds to signals. But here's something important. Even after you set boundaries, many people still feel uneasy on Sundays. That's because rest without structure doesn't always calm the mind. Most Sundays drift. You sleep late. You scroll. You tell yourself you're relaxing. But the day has no emotional shape. And unstructured rest gives anxiety more space to speak. By evening, instead of feeling restored, you feel like the day slipped away. That's why Sundays need one anchor. Not productivity, not planning, just one grounding activity in the evening. A walk, journaling, reading, prayer, a fixed routine with family. One anchor gives your mind a sense of direction. And when structure returns, something else surfaces. The emotions you've been carrying all week. Because Sunday anxiety isn't always about tasks. Very often it's about unfinished emotional weight, unspoken frustration, feeling undervalued, quiet resentment, questions you've been postponing about whether this path even fits you anymore. These emotions don't disappear during the week. They just get suppressed. And when everything slows down on Sunday, they finally come up. You adjust all week. You stay functional. And on Sunday evening, your mind asks the question you've been avoiding. Is this really my life? This is where a weekly emotional check-in helps. Not to fix anything, just to listen. Writing down what drained you this week. What gave you energy? You're not solving your career yet. You're acknowledging your inner state. And that alone reduces anxiety. But for many professionals, Sunday anxiety goes even deeper. Even when tasks are manageable, even when emotions are acknowledged, the anxiety still lingers. And that's because the issue isn't just work, it's identity. For many people in their late 20s and early 30s, work stops being something you do. It becomes something you are. So Monday doesn't feel like returning to tasks. It feels like returning to judgment. Am I performing well enough? Am I falling behind others? Am I still valuable here? When your worth depends on work, rest feels unsafe. In Indian families especially, conversations revolve around roles, salaries, promotions. Even a simple "how's office" starts feeling like evaluation. And slowly, without realizing it, your identity collapses into your designation. That's why protecting one non-work identity matters. Not a side hustle, not self-improvement, just something that reminds your brain you exist beyond your job title. A walk, music, writing, movement, something consistent, not intense. Because consistency restores psychological safety. And when identity stays tied to work for too long, something subtle happens. You don't break down, you don't quit, you just feel heavy. This is where most people misunderstand themselves. They think they're lazy or unmotivated. But this isn't laziness. This is burnout. Burnout doesn't always look dramatic. Often, it looks functional. You still show up. You still deliver. But every Sunday, your body resists going back. Burnout shows up as dread, not collapse. And when you say others have it worse, your nervous system doesn't agree. That's why the question isn't, how do I push through Monday? The better question is, what can I reduce this week? Burnout heals through subtraction, not pressure. And if you look back at everything we've discussed, you'll notice something important. None of these solutions were about motivation. Because Sunday anxiety isn't a mindset flaw, it's a signal. And signals aren't meant to be silenced. They're meant to be understood. Here's the truth most people never hear. Sunday anxiety is your inner self asking for honesty. Not escape. Not positivity. Honesty. About how you're living, what you're tolerating, what you keep postponing in your own life. The goal isn't to fix Sundays. The goal is to build a life you don't mentally escape from every week. If this resonated, the next video goes deeper. I break down the skills that actually make you promotion ready, the ones most employees ignore. Tap the video on your screen to watch it